What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be discussing an interesting report that still comes out in relation to the Chicago Bulls even after all these days of free agency, and it basically comes down to this. The Golden State Warriors are still very hopeful that they can do a sign and trade sort of deal that brings Jonathan Kuminga to the Chicago Bulls. This is probably the third video we've talked about in relation to this topic, and ultimately I just still feel there's a lot that needs to be done in order for this to take place. With that being said, let's talk about Jonathan Kuminga to the Bulls, what it could take, and I guess the updated version of this entire sequence in this video. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Jonathan Kuminga potentially joining the Chicago Bulls. Do you see it as a realistic possibility, or is it going to be another situation of, yeah, look, reports are saying it, maybe we want to do it, but we can't find a way to actually get this done? Now, firstly, I feel like I need to reiterate this. Jonathan Kuminga would be a very interesting player for the Chicago Bulls. Now, he's ultimately a player that I thought we wouldn't bring in the first place. But even with the deals that we did do prior to this, like drafting Noah Esenge, I felt like that only solidified the fact that we weren't going to bring in a Jonathan Kuminga. But it looks like, at least from my point of view, the interest has kind of dried out. It reminds me very similar of where we are now, right now with Josh Giddey. We are playing hardball with Josh Giddey because the suitors for Josh Giddey have dried out. So we have, I guess, the ball in our court in many ways, whether we like it or not, whether we feel like we should have got this deal done or not. It's in our court. We have, I guess, the power in that regards. It's just about whether or not we screw it up. With Jonathan Kuminga, it's a little bit of a different story because Kuminga actively wants to leave the Golden State Warriors, but it looks like Golden State and Jonathan Kuminga are playing hardball. So I want to discuss the finer details in this. And the first one is, I saw a report recently suggesting that Jonathan Kuminga himself wants $30 million per season, which is very similar, pretty much the exact same as what Josh Giddey is asking for. Now, I'm going to stop you guys right here and say if we paid Jonathan Kuminga $30 million per season, especially the fact that he only played 47 games, I think it was last season, and his averages was around 15 points per game. If we're paying that $30 million alongside of Josh Giddey's $30 million, we would be one of the dumbest teams in the league. We should not be doing anywhere near that amount of money for Jonathan Kuminga. And if we're not going to do it for Josh Giddey, who actually had a very big year for the Chicago Bulls towards the second half of it at least, we shouldn't be doing that for Kuminga either, who didn't have a great first half to his season. So I would say that instantly. If that is what it's going to take to get Jonathan Kuminga here, I don't care who we have to give up. You do not do that deal. You do not do that trade. So I hope, for everybody's sake, if we are going to do a deal like this and bring Kuminga in, that his contract is not going to be $30 million per season, and that he actively looks for that pay cut or a team-friendlier deal to get out of a hostile situation for himself. Sometimes you have to play hardball here, and sometimes you have to make sacrifices. Who's going to do the sacrificing? Maybe both parties will have to do the sacrificing. Golden State might have to accept a deal they don't want to accept, and Jonathan Kuminga might have to accept money he doesn't want to accept in order to make this happen. You know, sometimes those sacrifices are going to have to be made. Will it be made? And can Jonathan Kuminga come to the Chicago Bulls? So that's the first thing instantly out of the way I want to discuss. The money, from what I saw, is too much for Jonathan Kuminga. The second thing I want to discuss is who we could potentially be giving up in this trade. Now, we've already talked about Nikola Vucevic. I don't want to bring Nikola Vucevic into this again. I'm fully expecting if Jonathan Kuminga does come to the Chicago Bulls, Vooch will probably be involved in that sign and trade sort of situation. What has recently occurred for the Chicago Bulls is the name of Ayo Dosunmu for Jonathan Kuminga. Now that sparks conversation, in my opinion, because Ayo is a player I actively don't want to see leave the Chicago Bulls, and it's always a different feeling when you're talking about a player you expect to leave compared to a player you don't want to leave. And Ayo is one of those players. I don't want to leave the Chicago Bulls. But is it foolish to say that when there's a player like Jonathan Kuminga who could be a very big game changer to our front courts, and we have a lot of guards already? Is it foolish to say, I don't want Ayo to leave and we shouldn't be doing this deal to bring in Jonathan Kuminga? Look, I'll leave it up to you, but I think if you're adding Ayo into this conversation, it will spark interest. It will spark interest from the Warriors, because I think Ayo could fit on the Golden State Warriors just like he could fit on the rest of the league. You know, he could fit with 29 other teams out there. He could fit with all 30 teams because of his two-way capabilities and his ability to be able to contribute in every facet of the game. So, of course, he's going to be able to fit with the Golden State Warriors, and his team-friendly deal is going to help the Golden State Warriors. Then you also got to realize with Jonathan Kuminga, the Bulls have wanted him for a while. This is not like it's a brand new topic. A lot of Bulls fans, I'm pretty sure the Bulls organization wanted him for a while as well. So it sparks interest. Should the Bulls be willing to let go of a very valuable asset, in my eyes, in Ayo Dosunmu for Jonathan Kuminga? And for Nikola Vucevic, potentially, I would say as well. That's tough. That's tough. Ideally, if it was me, I would be trying to get Ayo's name out of the conversation and try to just get Vucevic in there and hope that the Golden State Warriors are forced into a situation they don't want to be in. Or worst case scenario, Jonathan Kuminga signs a qualifying offer, we keep our assets, they keep their assets, and Jonathan Kuminga can join the Chicago Bulls in unrestricted free agency next season. Maybe that's the way that we go down. There's a lot of ways that we can avoid trading Ayo, but if you want to get this done quickly and you want to get this done now, you are going to have to sacrifice something in order to make this happen, in order for, I guess, the situation to budge. But you also need to rely on Kuminga here. This cannot be the Bulls versus the Warriors in trying to get a deal done. Kuminga has to be willing to take that pay cut. I know it's restricted free agency. I don't know. Maybe there's a conversation of the Bulls offering a lower contract and trying to lowball Kuminga with maybe a guarantee that the Warriors don't try to match it. And maybe that's how we go down. And maybe Kuminga will have to be forced to accept it, or he accepts his qualifying offer and he stays in a position and a team that he clearly, very clearly doesn't want to be in. I don't know. Put my hands up. I don't know. This is a very weird situation, and it's very similar with the Josh Giddey situation, except Josh Giddey wants to be here, and the Bulls want to keep him around. So that's just playing hardball for the sake of playing hardball, trying to get, save a few million here and there. With Kuminga, it's so toxic in that situation at the moment. So, look, if he comes here, and if we have to sacrifice Ayo, will I lose sleep? Probably a little bit of sleep, to be honest, because I think Ayo is a great player. But realistically, I can understand why we would do something like this. I can understand getting rid of a guard when we have so many to sign a forward, which we do have a little bit more of these days, but a lot of the forwards we do have are not really proven forwards. We've got guys like Dalen Terry, guys like Julian Phillips, guys like Noah Esenge, and, maybe even Patrick Williams you could throw in there. They're all forwards, but are they all really big forwards that could really elevate the Chicago Bulls to the next level? I mean, Patrick Williams is good for his defense. Noah Esenge is a rookie, so regardless, he's going to take time. Dalen Terry, does he really have a future with the Chicago Bulls long term? I don't know. Julian Phillips seems like he's a good bench player, but probably won't hit the starting lineup. So we do have a position there that's available, in my opinion. I can understand it. I really, really can. But it will definitely suck to see Ayo go if that's where we're going to go down. We'll see. Maybe it is wise to be patient in this situation. I guess we'll figure it out by the time all of this free agency nonsense comes to an end. Thank you for watching, though. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. I know, by the way, you might be thinking, what the heck am I wearing? It is so cold in this house right now. I'm so cold. I don't know if the heat is working or not, but if it's not, I'm so cold, man. So you know what? I'm going to do my Trae Young impression. Oh, I'm cold. And I'll see you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.